Hey, welcome back to an exciting episode of YOML Today. We're on the second installment, Running with Sherman. We want to continue on finding out what happened to Sherman and what we can learn from the donkey that has the heart
Gold.
of a hero.
Yeah, Heart
Okay.
of a Hero. Yeah, the book that we're going to be talking about today is Running with Sherman. It's The Donkey with the Heart of a Hero by the author Christopher McDougall. This book is about a sick donkey that was on death's door, basically, and he was taken in by the author of the book, who lived on a farm in Amish country in Pennsylvania. They slowly but surely were able to find a way to get Sherman healthy again and get him back to his donkey ways. Eventually, he ended up thriving and succeeding. The reflection for today is about the Sherman transformation. We accidentally talked a lot about this yesterday. Yesterday was about movement as medicine, and how when Sherman started moving again, that was when his body started healing. We went into our normal beaver talk and around purpose and all these other things. Sadly, that kind of ruined reflection too a little bit, but I'll go through it here. So the Sherman transformation. What are we talking about here? First off, I didn't know anything about donkeys before I read this book. Donkeys are actually pretty damn cool. I kind of like them a lot. They have really neat, colorful personalities, apparently, and they're really stubborn. They always keep you guessing why they're doing what they're doing, but that's when they're happy and healthy, right? That's when they're doing their
A
donkey stuff,
donkey
right?
must be a
So,
donkey.
yeah, donkey must donkey. So when we like what we talked about when we first met Sherman, I mean, this poor donkey had been stripped of everything that made him a donkey. He'd been traumatized by his previous owner, like we talked about yesterday. The guy kept him in a tiny shed, locked him up, basically. I mean, like from what the story that we were told, none of this was intentional. The owner thought he was doing good for the dog, or for Sherman, but he clearly wasn't. He didn't know how donkeys worked. Apparently when he discovered that Sherman was very ill, he tried to give him away to see if somebody could help him or something like that, right? So that was how he ended up at the McDougall's household. So what did Christopher McDougall do? The compound effect of stripping Sherman of his donkeyhood had taken full swing. I mean, he was literally on death's door. When they got to the McDougall's household, it was life and death situation. Like, I mean, he could pass away at any time. He couldn't move, he couldn't walk. And when you take away a donkey's ability to move and walk, that means they're gonna die. So
Yeah, that's the last cigarette.
how did the McDougalls figure this thing out? Like, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but the grand plan was, let's give Sherman a job and give Sherman people to do that job with. That was it. That was the plan. Let's give this donkey something to do and give this donkey somebody to do it with. And that was when the slow start to Sherman trotting around the fence line, and he would go see this other donkey, and they would hang out a little bit, and then he would slowly creep out a little bit further, and then he would slowly creep out a little bit further. And finally, they got this idea in mind of, like, let's get him running again. And that was when slowly but surely they started running a little bit more each day. And then they started doing longer trails. And then they started, then the idea came where, oh, you know what? Let's run this 15-mile race in Leadville, Colorado at 10,000 feet up, and let's see what Sherman can do now that he's really healthy. And it fixed him. This process, it really did fix Sherman. And really, like, the answer was, purpose is powerful, right? Purpose has that much power. It can help you to overcome pain and trauma. It can give you energy. It can give you life. It can give you joy. It can give you fulfillment. It can take you from a donkey that's literally dying with no purpose to a donkey that's thriving and running, at 10,000 feet up in the air and running a 15-mile burro race as fast as little donkey legs can go. I mean, it was having a blast. You could just, from everything that they describe in the book, like, this guy was just having a blast. And it made me think so much about, if you remember back to the Song of Achilles, one that we talked about, you can't run away from your purpose. Achilles spent his whole entire life trying to not fulfill his purpose that he was told when he was really young, and the negative ramifications that cost him of all that. And it just reminded me today of how often, humans are the donkeys in a shed. We let other people strip us of our purpose, and we sit in our cubicles and we don't move, and we slowly just wither away. If you don't use it, you lose it, kind of thing. It really does not take very much to change that trajectory if you don't want to. We don't have to live lives that are beholden to financial debtors and workplaces and employers, all the things that are slowly stripping our humanity of us. Like, we can do just like Sherman did, and make sure that we go forward with the purpose, get a job, and get the people around you that you like to do it with. And it's really that simple, and you'll find a whole lot of joy and fulfillment. I mean, look at us. Like, every night we're on this thing talking about donkeys and beavers and whatever else. Like, we got a job to do, and we're happy to do it. And, like, gives me motivation to wake up and write the next morning and do that stuff with Amelia and keep doing this whole entire process. And, like, purpose is incredibly powerful. It's not very hard. Just ask some questions, figure out what you like the most, and go do it and live life with a purpose. So anyway, that's the reflection. Like I said, kind of screwed it up a little bit yesterday because we spent so much time talking about donkeys and purposes and beavers and all that other stuff. But that's okay. I'm sure we'll have a fun conversation again today. But just the power of purpose. It's an incredible thing that can take you from death's door to a fulfilling life. And really isn't that difficult. So yeah, I'd love to get your thoughts.
Yeah, so to me, this is like the example of spiraling up, right? The moment you can gala just for 1 or 2 steps, and then that gala will actually, in turn, affect something else that make it a little bit stronger. That thing make it stronger, give you ability to gala a little bit more than you had before. Spiraling down and spiraling up, I mean, they can go both ways. But it reminds me of how a little bit at a time starts to affect the other things. Like we said before, is that there's a lot of things that depend on one another. Just like when we talk about, you, me running in a circle,
Right.
who's in front and who's behind. I mean, that's the beauty of all these things that plays together in unison. So once you build something that is gonna give you a little advantage, that advantage will actually makes the other things to start to crank. And then when it starts to crank, it's going to start to have this feedback. It's a flywheel, a feedback that kind of makes it continue to make it better and better. And I think looking at, I mean, we can talk about purpose, but today I want to talk about, the reason why we are such a depressed and desperate state.
Yeah.
Right. And I want to talk about the desire to bring forth a company-like tribe, because I've seen so many people is, sick and tired of the way they live, right? They depressed, they work all day long, they barely see each other, they sleep deprived, they stress out. I mean, it spiraled down because you you're working more. When you work more, you sleep less. When you sleep less, you have less health. When you have less health, your output becomes less. And so you see how that's spiraling out of control. And we have become enslaved to this society, this matrix, quote unquote. Whatever you want to call it, we're enslaved to this thing. We become a tool for whatever system that that needs to run, and we are basically a cog in the wheel. And so to me, this is where people need to wake up, because the current state of how we live our lives and stripped of our purpose, it's an imagery of Sherman putting in tiny shed and has no freedom to do what he's supposed to do
with the best of intentions, I'll give you, of somebody else. Like that's the weird part about all this, is like nobody was like just torturing Sherman because they wanted to torture Sherman. I don't think anybody tortures us, what you're talking about, because they want to torture us. They think that they are doing the right thing. Well, he's safe, he's protected, he's in a shed, he's doing what he needs. I feed him every day. But that's not what we're here for. We're here to do something. We're here to fulfill something way bigger than
we must be who we are. A beaver must stand, a painter must paint. You say, hey, do not, go through pain of painting and figuring out how to make things look pretty and creative and all that. Right? The thing is, you say, hey, why are you breathing? It takes so much effort. You waste so much energy. Pinch your nose. Say, hey, hey, little kid, you don't need to breathe that much. Maybe breathe once in a while. And sometimes if I love you so much, like don't breathe at all. And so that's the thing, is the desperations of the current status of society in the world today. It is, to me, in a way, it's so desperate, because I'm looking left and right, forward and backward. Everywhere I see is this complete like isolation from what we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to do. Right. Strip off of all characteristics. It's stripped off of the kind of things that make us who we are. And so, like I said, we have been given a combinations of different DNAs. That DNA must manifest. If it doesn't manifest, then it just withers away and disappear. And you look at any animal, not just human, but I'm talking about some animal as like a donkey, right? A donkey doesn't have the complexity of a human being, but to put a donkey in a shed, shelter from the rain, shelter from the sun, shelter from the, I don't know, the harmful bugs or whatever you want to call it. And these nuance that you think that, hey, I'm doing this donkey a favor, but essentially, in reality, it's the opposite. You are not allowing him to manifest himself in a way that express who he is. Then he's not a donkey. He's not anything.
He's just dying. Like, I mean,
he's not a thing, because it starts to disappear. That thing, whatever you want to label it, like a donkey, a bee, a beaver, a dog, a wolf, whatever that thing is, it cease to exist.
Yeah.
Right? And apply that to human beings. It's a miserable existence, because human being has the ability to take everything in and run it in his mind. I mean, that it heightens that sense of like pain that you have, because you have the ability to imagine it,
to have thoughts about thoughts,
have thoughts about thought, and that creates this magnitude of, I don't know how I would label it, but it's a magnitude of.
You remember the hell loop that we talked about with the trauma as imagination thing? It's a hell loop. Sitting in a shed every single day, doing the same thing over and over again, and never, novelty unfolds, time, and monotony compresses it, or it's
the opposite.
Or sorry, novelty compresses time, monotony and no, it was right. The novelty unfolds time. And monotony compresses it. So it feels like time is going so slow with you when you do new stuff, because it's always interesting and fun, right? Like, and it seems like things happen anyway. Like, it's that same sentiment as well. Like, like that's purpose. Purpose is novelty. It's new. It's actions. It's continuing to do something that aligns to what you're supposed to do every single day. It's going to explore a new trail if you're Sherman, with your buddies, like, and going, no, this is fun. I like running through the creek, like, this is great. Like, where are we going to go tomorrow? Like, I love running. Like, this is what I do. Like,
because the thing is, exploration is the essence of the human spirit.
And the donkey spirit.
That's beyond that, because what I'm saying is that the DNA that we have, and we may share with the donkey, it is the ability to explore. We cannot stand still. That's, to me, is the ultimate expressions of the gene. You want to do something, and then when you get to it, you want to do the next step, and the next step, and the next step, and the next step, right? You go on vacation, right? You pack, you hurry and pack, hurry get to the airport, and hurry get on the airplane, hurry take on energy, hurry get off, right? So we need to have motion, because it's the differences. That's why we talk about the happiness hypothesis, right? Somebody has nothing, right? And he won $1,000. He go from $0 to $1,000. He's elated,
right?
Because there's a big jump from nothing to $1,000. But for somebody to go from $1,000 to $2,000, that's not much. And then the elation is not as much. It's the same thing as we have the gene that needs to express itself in that manner. Gene that we have, in essence, is we have to explore new things to have this quote unquote novelty. If we don't have the novelty, then we are suppressing that gene, and that genes is what make us human. And yes, donkey has some other gene, to a certain degree, but because human has the more complex design. Well, I mean, it's a good guess.
We don't know. We don't know.
I don't know, but it's a good guess based on what a car donkey does and what you and I can do, right? So, extrapolate that a little bit. I'm not saying it's 100%. I'm just saying, hey, this is my guess until somebody tell me, hey, there's a flaw in it, and then tell me. I'm considerate of that. But that's the thing is, we have to express the DNA. So to kind of lay the landscape of how things are, the status of the current landscape, it is very desperate, meaning you, me, everybody else is in this enslavement of society and this matrix or whatever you want to call the current present, right? Because what do you do? Well, you're born, you get, basically very little time from your parents. You get a nanny or somebody to watch over you. You never see your parent. When you are 1 year old or maybe 6 months or even less, you get shipped to daycare.
Like a lot of people, after 3 months, if they even get 3 months, I mean, like.
And then what happens after that is that you get into pre-K, right? You spend all day in school. and then sometimes you have after this activity, blah blah. So you
You're
live in
you're
a
always
life
being
where you
told.
never see your parents, and your
Right.
parents never see you, and right, you sleep 8 hours a day, right? You work 8 hours a day, and then the other 8 hours, what do? You have like, oh, I have to cook, oh, I have to clean, I have to do homework, I have to bunch of bullshit, right?
Right.
That takes up the rest of the other 8 hours. So the
It's
thing
always somebody
is,
else's. It's always
it's
somebody
always,
else's.
and so the thing is, you never get to do what you want,
No.
and you never get to do what you supposed to be doing.
The number one regret that every book that I've ever read on people dying, don't miss the point, right? Like it's always, I wish I would have done more stuff with the people that I love. Like it's always the epiphany that people have.
That's the epiphany. That's
Yeah,
always the same epiphany from every person that is ever
it's
able to give you some advice, before leaving, is say, hey, don't miss the point.
right.
The point of life isn't to work, because you think about, like, let's go through the life journey of a person, right? Because you were born 3 months, 3 weeks, you get shipped to daycare, and then you never see your parent because your parent is in spiral to the point where they have no time because they're stressed out to the max. They have so much stress and so much things for whatever they had to do, right? They had to do this, had to do that, and then they don't have no time for them, and then they continue to try to make things better, but at the same time makes it worse. Because let's say they work more, okay? Let's say they work more you say, hey, I'm barely able to pay the bill, so I gotta work more. You
Right.
work more, and then when you work more, what happens? You sleep less, you get sleep deprived,
Right.
and once you say sleep deprived, your body is not repairing as fast, and so your health deteriorates. And then that means your performance at work becomes poor, and you have become less valuable, and then you can't make the extra pay raise, or even you get fired, you cannot get a job because you have to work or have to go and learn more and re-educate yourself, or learn more extra things to kind of make yourself marketable. And so that's a spiral, and then you do the same fucking thing for the next 50 to 60 years until you finally retire, right? You are told to do this so you can pay the bills,
Yeah,
pay the
you're
bills so
donkey in the
you can,
shed.
you're locked in the shed. And so
Yeah.
to me, describing the typical life of a human being, it's like you're basically a fucking battery in a matrix, just like the Matrix movie.
I
Resources to,
often with good intentions. I don't want to make it sound like there's
regardless of whether it's good intention or not, the
right,
result is still the
but it's still
same. The
stripping
result
you of
is
your, still stripping you of your of you. You know, like
you're basically a donkey.
yeah,
Regardless, I don't want to discuss about whether it's good versus evil
it doesn't matter. You're still a
in this
donkey in a shed. Yeah,
conversation. You cease to exist of that entity, whatever that entity, that who you are, you cease to exist, and
right.
that means you die early. I mean, it basically deteriorates, and you just disappear. You just become a dead body. And so, to me, that's the landscape that we have right now. And so, we as a tribe of company members need to wake up, right? So now we understand the issues at hand. How are we going to solve this? And this is where it goes, transition that into what you talk about in today's reflection is, how do you do that? And
Do the
today's
stuff you
reflection
love with
is
the
the
people you love.
answer, right? Because you can go from the bottom to the point where you are smoking your last cigarettes, to
Right.
the point where you have this little nudge, just a little tiny nudge, that ability to affect the other things, making you spiral upward into the point where you have this transformation.
Yeah.
Because the purpose is essentially the outlet for this gene to express. And once you let it express, it will bloom. So
I'm
that to me
going.
is, I want
I'm
to transition from describing to you the problem of how desperate we are in today's society, to what are we doing to get out of it, to have a silver lining at the end of the tunnel.
right. 100%. I mean, it's really not a hard thing. I know this whole journey. I say all that to say that it's not hard, but it's taken us 2.5 years and 310 reflections now,
But I
or
think
whatever
that's
I'm
the
on
only
today.
outlet. The
I
thing
mean,
is, if you are born with a certain set of genes, you have to be it. And the only way to do it is to manifest in whatever space.
my
Once you
sorry.
do that, right, it's going to continue to give you more room, and eventually you can bust out of it.
I was telling one of my employees today, we were having a one-on-one, and I was talking to him about their job and how when I was an AE at Salesforce. I wasn't great at it because everything about that job didn't align to my values and what I was really good at. And I'm talking about the job itself. I'm not talking about the company. I'm not talking about the culture.
Right.
I'm talking about the actual job itself. Everything about it. I am not a project manager. I'm not a detail oriented. I'm not a quarterback of a team. Like, I'm a creative thinker. I'm an innovator. I'm an idea person. I have a lot of energy, and I keep a lot of the stuff up here, right? And I'm thinking all day long. I'm questioning. I'm doing a lot of this stuff. I definitely am a great sales professional. Like, when I've been in other environments that I'm just focused on selling and just doing what I'm doing, like, I mean, nobody touches me. But like, that job wasn't just sales. That job was way more project management. I bring this up to say, one of the things I've been having them work on is their backhand, right? So in tennis, you have a forehand. Everybody has a great forehand for the most part. It's the easier shot to hit, and it's usually a weapon for most people. Most people's biggest problems are their backhands, and everybody knows it. So like, whenever I start a tennis match, my first strategy always, if I've never played a person before, it's I'm hitting the ball to their backhand until they can show me that they can get out of that mess and push me back, flip the script a little bit. And I mean, that's all I'm doing. I'm not trying to do anything. That is go-to play number one. It is beat up their backhand until they can prove to me that they're not going to get beat up on their backhand, whether it's a weapon or whether it's not. Like, they're just need to prove to me that it's not, that I can't just easily beat them because that's their weakness, right? So one of the things I've been having them work on is work on your backhand. We'll talk about this in a reflection in the future, actually, because this is derived from that. But as I was telling him, he has a similar backhand to me. He's not a great project manager. If you want to be really good at this job, that's what you got to do. I was like, ironically, I didn't want to do that job anymore because I get to hit my forehand in this job all day long, and it feels so much better. I love it so much more. I get to have meaningful conversations, lead people, help coach, all this other stuff, right? Do the thing to do, and it's easy. Nobody's challenging me to work on my backhand. I could get better, and I know that I could get better. I know this is my backhand still, but damn it, I get to hit forehands all day long, and I got a fucking great forehand. You know what I mean? Like, and it feels real good when I'm just blasting, 90-mile-an-hour shots down the line, and people are going, shit. You know what I mean? It just feels good. And it's like, a part of me wants to say, focus on your backhand. But like, this goes back to the purpose conversation of, no, like, I mean, I don't even know that it's even the right thing to say to people. It's like, just do, like, that's like telling a beaver, look, you're great at beavering. Like, and I know that if you could beaver 24/7, like, I think you would do some amazing stuff. And I think you would absolutely love it, right? But you should really be focused on, like, I don't know, what's a side thing that the beavers could do to like make sure that they could keep their dams longer. I don't know. They should focus on reinforcing their dam or something like. And the beaver's like, well, I don't like reinforcing, but I get it. Like that's my weakness. Like, I'll just build more dams, and they're like, no. But like, this, if you just reinforce this like thing, like it would stay longer. And you're like, yeah, but I fucking hate reinforcing this stuff, And you're like, well, but you got to do it, And you're like, no, I don't have to do it. Like, I don't have to do it. It's not a beaver, man. Like, So anyway, I'm going on a tangent about this, but like
But the thing is, to the point that you're making is, this is where the meaningful relationship is so powerful. Just because it's, if you have a great forehand, right, you need somebody with great backhand, and you complement it, and you can enjoy the exact same work that you do that is meaningful. But then the other person loves the backhand, right? He hates the forehand because this is where meaningful work and a meaningful relationship.
I love that. My favorite partner to play doubles with. I don't love playing doubles because you got to have that right partner to play with, right? That my favorite partner, I have two of them over the years that I've loved to play with. One of them has a big serve and he just rushes the net. I hate going into the net as fast as I can. This guy just loves to hit a great serve and run as fast as he can into the net and just and just pounce on the ball. And I'm like, yes, I can do what I do best, which is like pick people apart from the baseline and slowly move in when it's ready to go. But I can pick people apart all day long from the baseline. And my other favorite partner is he has an incredible backhand. So like I cover the forehand side, he covers the backhand side, and people are like, fuck, like, these two are impossible to get anything by. Like, I mean, we're just blasted winners on both sides of the court, and they're like, Jesus Christ. So like, you're so right. You're right. Like that's the point of meaningful relationships. Yes, if it's just you and it's always just you and you're in singles, I got to work on my backhand, right? Because it's a kind environment, like this is the game. I need to address it in this particular game, and I'm okay with that. But like, and it gives me a challenge to work on, and it gives me something to do. Like if I could hit a forehand all day long, God damn it, I would rather hit a forehand all day long. Like, I mean, there's just no doubt about it. I think you just made such a brilliant point, because you're right. That's when the partner comes in with Sherman. That's when his running buddies and his little donkeys that would lead him out there when he was all nervous and shit going out in the woods because he hadn't gone out there in a lot. He just would tuck right in fall behind them until he got confidence up. And then he was like, yo, I'm Sherman. I got my confidence now. I can bounce out there and go do what I need to go do. And he could find his forehand. You know what I mean? Like, that's such an amazing point, because you're right. Like, that's where the meaningful relationships are everything to this.
The meaningful relationship, it's one of those spiral elements that I'm talking about, is because you're looking at Sherman, right? He needed that accountability to kind of get him out there. But also the kid who came home from college, he's lost.
Oh yeah.
The guy who's lost without something to do, without someone to do it with, right? There's interdependency where you depend on the other person, because when Sherman made a stride in progress, it's going to domino effect, the partner to make the next progress, and vice versa. So this is the spiral up, right? And so to me, meaningful relationship is so powerful in that way. To make yourself 10 times better is you have that spiral element partnership with something that counterbalance you.
100%.
Right? We're talking about meaningful work, meaningful relationship, and the balance of what, the solutions to getting out of this slavery of who knows what.
Right. And you really stumbled upon a great point, because now I'm like, Zeke was his name, right. His running buddy, right? And you know what happened with Zeke? It was an upward spiral with both of them. So
exactly,
at one point in time, Zeke, he started to get really into this, and he was seeing Sherman get better, and he was like, I want to make sure that I give Sherman every chance that I can to have this successful race when they decided to go to this thing. At one point in time, Zeke started studying Wim Hof. He was studying all these different things. And he was trying to figure out, like, how can I increase my endurance to be able to stay with Sherman, to be able to make sure that I'm always right there, right in his, there's like a little pocket that people are supposed to run in with the burrows, that like gives them like safety and knows that they're there, but they don't like run into each other kind of thing. And he was like, I need to be able to keep pace with Sherman and make sure that I'm always that rock for Sherman to make sure that he's there. So he started trying to figure out ways that he could get better. And he started studying Wim Hof. And then the whole crew of the three of them that were running started taking these cold river baths and stuff. Like, we would just go into the water and like focus on like cold baths and try to meditate in there. And they were doing all this other shit. And that was actually the when I decided, you know what, I'm gonna try to check out this Wim Hof book, because no joke, I gotta actually go to the blog real fast, and because I'm pretty sure Wim Hof will be one of these books like in the next couple of weeks after this book, because I finished it and I immediately was like, all right. And then I ended up doing my own monthly challenge. Let's see here. So we're on
171.
On 171. So let's see where Wim Hof pops in. There it is, 198, right? So it was a couple of weeks later, and I was running for Sherman, and I was like, you know what? Damn it, I'm gonna try that. I want to get back. But to your point, the upward spiral of both of them, like once they both had each other to help each other through this whole entire process, and then the rest of the team, like they got Christopher McDougall's wife into this whole thing. She's on the corner. She was like, I don't want to do it, but now you're bonding with your family. Now you're doing all this other stuff, and it reminds me of like Felicia and I, like listening to books together and stuff like that, and a lot of these books that come on this journey, or that. And then there's you and I, like going through this whole journey together. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do this without you. I don't know who's the donkey and who's the runner next to him, but like, it doesn't really matter.
But that's the thing. But that's the beauty of it. I mean, talking about, you and me running in a track, right? A track is circular. Who's in front, who's behind. And so the thing is, I'm getting better because you're getting better.
Right.
You're getting better because I'm getting better. Because that's the spiral up, right? Like I give you an example of the spiral down. You sleep less. The performance get worse, and they have to sleep less because they have to spend more time doing.
It all falls apart.
The opposite of spiraling up is, you get better, I get better, you get better, I get better. Right. It's spiral up. So having a purpose between that essentially accelerates the attractions that we have toward whatever journey that we're going.
Agreed. This was one of my favorite discussions, because you're just absolutely right. It's a job and somebody to do it with. You know what I mean? Hopefully. That job needs to be something you like. It needs to be your forehand. You
are going to be fitted to do something that the other species just can't do. I mean, you take the beaver. Who can build dam better besides the human? Human don't want to build dams.
I don't even know that we can build a dam better than a beaver. I mean, or faster.
We can. We don't build as many.
You can't keep up with production. I mean, it would be tiring.
Like how many dams we have built
Right.
Right? I don't know, but I'm
The
sure
volume is unreal, right?
it's like 100, 1,000 times more dams than we
Well,
built.
true. How many
Right?
books have you, me, and Amelia read, and how many books does the average person read? It's the same thing, right? When you're doing what you want to do, it's not work, it's play, but it's
It's not
work to
work.
somebody
It's
else.
the thing to me, like everything comes down to the word, right? The word is work. Work means to me, in my mind, is you making me put an effort into something I don't want. Right? To play is for me to put an effort in something I want. You
Right.
go play tennis, you don't go work tennis.
No.
Never ever have anyone say,
That's
I'm gonna go work
work
tennis.
tennis. Well, Andre Agassi probably did.
But my sentiment still
You're right.
stands.
No, you're
He
right.
doesn't
Yeah.
want it. It caused work because he didn't want it.
I'm gonna go play sales today. That's what I'm gonna
You
go
go play
play.
sales today.
I'm gonna go play code today. I love that. That's really good. I'm gonna go play code today.
Yeah.
Like it's a. I mean, because you're right though. Like it should be that. Like it should be like I'm gonna go play tennis. Like because I'm not. You're right. It's not work. I mean, but it can be work to somebody. I mean, hell, number one tennis player in the world, 8-time Grand Slam champion, thought it was work. Shouldn't. Then you're doing the wrong thing.
But the thing is, we know what happens when you work. Look at Andre Agassi. What happens when you work?
Yeah.
He has a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Because that's not what he wanted to do. That's not the expressions of what he is. He cannot be that unless he wants to. And so no one wants to not express and suppress the expressions of Eugene. You don't want to do that, because when you do that, you basically cutting off your lifeline or your breath of air.
But humans are funny because we'll probably just be like, look, why don't I just give you an artificial breather? Like, stop breathing. Like, I mean, you don't need. We can do this for you. Like you're like,
no, you can.
I know.
What happens when you go to the hospital? They put a fucking 4-inch tube down your fucking throat.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I mean, they could do it.
Breathe for you. It breathes for you.
Yeah, right. I watched it. Amelia was on a ventilator her entire life.
That is, to me, I would never ever want to do that, right? Unless I have to, because it needed to prolong my life enough. Right. But even then, that is the last thing I want. I do not want that. As a human being, I want to breathe on my own.
100%. I mean, that's what I was meaning. There's tools out there that, I mean, when we look at things from a macro perspective, it's like, oh, well, you don't need to reproduce. We can do that for you. You don't need to breathe. We can do that for you. You don't need to. We can
inject you with some whatever fluid it is. You don't need to eat.
Right.
Have sex.
We could do that for. I mean, honestly, we could. You could do that for some. At this point in time. But like, that's the point. Is like it's like taking away people's purpose it kills them. Like, I mean, like it's
it does.
It's awful. I mean, it's something that I will never do.
That brings back to the point I'm grappling about. It is, we are killing our species.
Yeah.
We are killing ourselves by subjecting ourselves into this.
We're not bees.
This bees hives of society, right? We are basically wither away at our own demise. However, we construct our own death machine,
right?
Which is sad. And so this is, to me,
irreversible.
That's why I think the point is you have to wake up from the matrix. Wake up from the matrix. Because the first thing you gotta do is you gotta wake up from the matrix. Because if you don't wake up from the matrix, I can tell you about purpose all day long, and
that's true.
It will not even, hit. It just bounce out to the ether.
Right. So
the thing we have to do is the activation is to wake up from this slumber of slavery inside of a matrix.
What's funny is one of the only books, I think there's maybe been 2 on this journey there's been 2 books in the past 2.5, 3 years or whatever it's almost been since I started this journey that I haven't written a reflection on because I didn't want to. One of those books was actually a book called Waking Up by Sam Harris. And I was like, man, this is like, I'm so far. It was basically like waking up out of the matrix kind of thing, and I'm like, man, I'm already awake. Like, I'm tired of this book. Like, I was like, I don't want to keep, I don't know, everything.
I want to talk about purpose.
I was like, man, this is just like, I finished it, but I was like, I'm not going to dignify this one with a reflection because I would have wrote a reflection that was like, waking up, wake up, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I was like, I get it. Wake up. Like, I'm good. I'm awake. Like, like it's, anyway, that was one of the only.
But I think it needs to be said because most people are still in their slumber because without somebody shaking them up, they have no sense of whether it's reality or it's a dream.
I agree. If I would have read that book at a different stage in my life, it may have had more of an impact on me, where I was like, once again, none of these things I'm ever worried about the impact. It's always about learning. But for whatever weird reason, this particular book, I was like, this doesn't even, I don't know. I can't even describe why I didn't like it. It was just something about it that I was like, this just doesn't, I don't know. I just couldn't even bring myself to even write a reflection about it after I was done with it. But either way, I digress. We're off topic. All right, so wrap it up for the day. I feel like that was a great discussion as always, but that was a particularly fun one. I really love this book. I mean, you should read it. Are you gonna read it?
Sure. Yeah, it sounds interesting.
Look at this little donkey.
Sherman the donkey.
Here's Christopher. Oops. Here's Christopher McDougall. Here's Christopher McDougall and Sherman. You know, adorable. Look at these little tiny burrows.
I don't have a land farm to run. I have a shed, and I don't want to bring a donkey to a shed.
Fair enough. But anyway, yeah, there's little Sherman, you know, little donkey with the heart of gold. Any final thoughts for the day?
I like the question. How are you working to bring forth what is within you? I think you should bring yourself forth.
Yeah,
that's the best thing you can offer humanity.
I had that quote in here. We talked about this yesterday. Like I said, I didn't read my next reflection yet. But if you bring forth within you, you know, what you bring forth will save you. If you don't bring forth within you, what you don't bring forth will destroy you. I mean, if you're stuck in a shed, it'll kill you.
It is actually hard to understand. But now that you have the Sherman analogy, it's easy to understand. Because the thing is, if you express who you are living the life. If you don't express who you are dying away. That is the exact same quote. Because if you read this quote, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. But now you take that quote and compare it to what I just said about Sherman. If you let Sherman be Sherman, then he has a great life and he gets better and better. If you don't let Sherman be Sherman, then he just withers away with bad health and dies.
Yeah.
It's exact same quote.
Turns it into a story, those words into a visual of, you can literally imagine a donkey locked in a shed, dying, like almost dying, you know, and then you can imagine a donkey running a 15-mile race at 10,000, you know, meters up in the Colorado Rockies and you know, having a fucking blast, you know, like, I mean, right? It's the same donkey, right? Like it's the same donkey. It's just not the same donkey when you have purpose behind you.
Right.
Know?
So you have this beaver must dam, and the other one is let the donkey be donkey.
Let the donkey run, man. You know,
let the donkey run
with a friend. They like friends, so they don't like to do it alone. Thanks for joining and thanks for tuning in, everyone. And I hope you all are inspired by this book as well, and go check out Running with Sherman, because I know.
And we'll do the part 3 tomorrow.
Yes, part 3 coming in soon. All right, have a good one.
Good night.